Some weapons are not designed to kill or maim the enemy but rather to instill fear. If done effectively, frightened soldiers no longer wish to fight but instead flee the horrors of combat. A key component often built into these weapons of fear is the noise they create, with many specifically designed to trigger psychological effects simply through intense or unsettling sound. In turn, they prey on human susceptibility to intense auditory overstimulation and psychological reaction. In 1999, an archaeological discovery in Mexico City revealed what may have been one of the earliest examples of a sound-based weapon. While excavating a temple dedicated to Ehecatl, the Aztec wind god, archaeologists found a sacrificed skeleton of a young man who in his hands was holding two whistles. It was assumed the whistles were there to imitate the winds of the underworld. Researchers soon labeled these unusual finds as the Aztec death whistle. As archaeologists continued to piece together information about the whistle and how it was used, other theories of its use in combat began to arise. It's likely that these weren't just instruments used during human sacrifices because, given the horrifying scream it produced in reconstructions, it may have been used as a weapon of war. The death whistle is categorized as an air spring type of whistle, with earlier versions having been found from the Mayans. In the case of the Aztec death whistle, it sounds like someone being flayed alive. When we imagine the image of thousands of Aztec warriors marching into battle armed with spike clubs and spears and blowing these death whistles, it's easy to see just how effective this object could have been in terrorizing the enemy. The trumpets of Jericho, Stuka sirens. When referencing the German Air Force of World War II, Junkers Ju-87s are perhaps one of the first aircraft that come to mind. Being one of the most notable and well-recognized aircraft of the entire war, the famous Stuka dive bomber and ground attack aircraft was used during the Spanish Civil War as part of the German Condor Legion and during the early years of World War II as part of Germany's blitzkrieg tactics. The Soviets soon nicknamed the weapon Katyusha, most likely after the famous patriotic wartime song. The Germans too had a nickname for the weapon, Stalin's organs. This was inspired by the loud hissing sound from the incoming rockets, which terrified German troops. Its distinct sound became synonymous with the chaos it would bring. Just one salvo from 4 Katyushas lasted between 7 and 10 seconds and detonated 4.35 tons of high explosive across a 10-acre area. Conclusively, Katyusha was a mighty weapon with dual effectiveness. It brought destruction and created mass fear simultaneously. Operation Wandering Soul. During the US-Vietnam War, the Vietnamese believed that when a person died, the body must be buried where they were born or their soul would forever wander the netherworld. American soldiers working at a South Vietnamese radio station in 1964 saw an opportunity to exploit this belief, and so a series of ominous sounds and voice recordings were created with the help of South. The recording starts with Buddhist funeral music, followed by the howling sounds of a man in agony. Next, a voice of a little girl calls for her father, a fallen soldier, to come home. This is followed by a distant and echoed voice of her father responding, looking for his loved ones. Finally, the voice of the dead soldier addresses his comrades, telling them he died a senseless death and that he ended up in hell. The recording ends with a message, "Go home, my friends, before it's too late," followed by the groans of a man tormented in hell. The operators were instructed to refrain from playing the tape when in proximity of Allied South Vietnamese soldiers out of fear it may affect them as well. The success of Operation Wandering Soul was questionable. The Viet Cong soldiers quickly realized what they were hearing was a recording, and in turn, they used it to locate the enemy's position and aim their fire. As a result, the operation was cancelled by 1971. This was not to say that Firth. The LRAD, or Long Range Acoustic Device, is often placed in the family of modern sonic weapons. Although its original designers, the American Technology Corporation in 2003, denied it was a weapon, it is nevertheless effectively a sound cannon that can be used to injure, repel, or incapacitate one's target. Its two main abilities are voice amplification for communication over long distances and emitting an alert tone. The alert tone can reach 160 decibels, about 40 decibels louder than the volume of a jet engine taking off. Such a loud sound can cause pain, disorientation, nausea, migraines, and even hearing damage.